How you doing, folks? In the last video I got the head gasket replaced on this 1980 MG behind me here, and we got the engine running, but in this video it's time to make it run well, so it's time to get it tuned up. If you've been playing along at home, you will know that I have already set the tappets, because that's part of the head gasket replacement, because obviously I had the head off, so I had the rocker shaft out, but the tappets have all been set. Now when I retorque the head I'm going to have to do them again, but for the moment let's just assume that the tappets are fine, okay? And there's no point in checking them. I mean, I haven't driven so much as an inch on this car since I did the work. What we need to do now is we need to set the timing. Alright, so the first thing to do is to disconnect the vacuum line to the distributor, because you don't want the vacuum advance actually functioning in this instance. What you want is you also need to plug the vacuum point on the manifold, because with a vacuum leak it's just not going to run right. So yeah, that's that done. And now I'm going to be using a timing light to do this. Static timing is done by basically rotating the engine to 10 degrees before top dead center, pulling number one spark plug, rotating the distributor until it fires off. But I covered that in the previous video, so that's why I'm just flying through it quickly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually set the timing light up, get it onto number one cylinder, and I'll show you down here at the pulley where the timing marks are. Okay, so I have my timing light set up here now. I've just taken a suitable positive off the fuse box over here. Just be aware that these pickups for the spark plugs, they have an arrow on them, and the arrow should point towards the spark plug. And then I've got my negative on the block of the engine there. So yeah, let's fire the engine up and we'll see how far off the mark we are now at this stage. Now you need to do this with the engine at about 800 RPM. So if you need to throttle back your idle speed, then you're going to need to do that now as well. I don't believe it's that far off the mark, given the fact that it starts so easily, but that's at about 5 degrees before top. So I'm going to show you the marks now. Okay, so I killed the engine because I do need to adjust it, so I know that now. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to slacken the clamp on the bottom of the distributor so I can rotate that slightly. But as I said, it's not a million miles off the mark. So yeah, we'll bring you in and I'll just show you the marks. Just looking at the timing marks here, you can see the kind of the comb shaped thing along here, okay? So you've 5 prongs, so it's 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, okay? The middle one is the one you want, and you're going to line it up with a notch, a mark on the pulley, okay, which is just a slot in the inner edge of the pulley. Now, what's happened here is it's actually been painted white, and I would suggest you do that yourself as well, so that you can easily see it. Just for illustration purposes there, I know it's kind of hard to get on camera, but you can see the white mark lined up with the middle prong there on that. And basically what we're going to be looking for is to line things up like that with the engine running, with the strobe pointing at it. So essentially every time that spark plug fires, it's going to flash the light and tell you exactly where you are in relation to the timing marks. So let's do that. If, like me, you're going to be running the engine indoors, you need to make sure you have plenty of ventilation. I have windows and doors open all over the place here, so we're pretty good. Anyway, I have the clamp undone down there on the distributor. It's a 7/16 nut. So we've our timing light set up, and yeah, so let's start up the engine anyway and see how we're looking then. Not far off, 800 RPM there at that actually, so let's see how we're looking. Okay, so that's about 5. Other way. Right, that's spot on at that now. So we were 10 degrees before top dead center at idle now, so let's kill the engine. Right, I'm gonna nip up that distributor clamp, then that's the timing done. It's already sounding pretty good. I don't imagine the carbs are a million miles out, actually, to be honest. But there you go, so 10 degrees before top dead center at idle. So let's connect our vacuum line back up again. It's fine to do the timing when the engine's cold, by the way, but not the tuning and the carbs. So what I'm doing now is I'm just letting the engine warm up a little bit. So that's going to take a bit of time. So while it's doing that, I'm going to just try and put this hazard light switch back together. It sprung apart on me, but I'll be covering the electrics in this car in more detail in a future video. So I'll take you through a couple of the other switches, how you can actually repair them rather than having to replace them. I personally think it's a better job actually getting repairing them rather than replacing them, especially if you have the original ones. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now that the engine is suitably warmed up, is we're going to back off the nuts that hold the nuts on the throttle linkage for the accelerator, and get them nice and loose. And make sure before we do anything else, our choke is fully off. Both carbs, okay? Because if your choke is on, it's going to upset all your measurements and you'll never get anywhere with it. Okay, so now I have those two nuts. They're 1132, by the way. I have those two nuts loosened, okay? So that will allow for independent movement between the two carbs. So you can move them a bit more if you need to. But I think we're pretty all right at that now. Okay, so we are now going to get the carbs balanced. Now there's a couple of different ways of doing this. The best way, of course, is to actually buy the unison tool, and that's 50 quid, and I don't have one, so I'm not going to do it that way. The other method is to do it by using a length of rubber tube in the ear and seeing if you can tell the difference hourly. I don't believe for a second that I will be able to do it with any great degree of precision. Another method which I've heard of, and I don't know whether or not it's going to work out for me, but I'm certainly going to try it, is what you do is you lift, you start the engine and lift up that piston all the way, and then basically get it so that the engine is just barely running on this carburetor, then let it off, and then do the same on the other ones, and then when it's just barely running on both carburetors, then you nip them all up, and then that's the carbs balanced. It sounds plausible. I'm going to try it and see if it works. If not, then you can do it with a piece of wire across the two dash pots. So we'll see which method works for us. Okay, so first step, obviously, after you've undone the lock nuts, if you have them on the carb idle adjustments, is to start the engine. So now, I fully expect that when I lift the dash pots on one of them, the other one, it's going to die on its arse. Okay, so let's just see what happens. Yeah, okay, so we need to wind that one down. Maybe I'm just going to go 2 turns on that and see how we go. Okay, I'd say it's barely running on that cylinder. So now let's just try this one. I'll wind it down a bit because I know full well it's not going to run. Slow it right down. I'm not convinced. Let's just try it again. Okay. A little bit more on that one. Right, let's just get it started again and we'll try it. I seem to think the method of using the wire might be a better way to go. Let's try it. Okay, so what I have here is a bit of 2.5 square electrical cable, which I have relieved of its insulation, and it seemed to be the best thing for the job. So we're going to take out our 2 dampers, and we're going to basically put a piece of wire down each of these and point them towards each other so that they meet perpendicular or parallel to each other in the middle. And then what we're going to do is start the engine and see how much one rises versus the other. And we're going to tune the carbs so that the wire is level right the way through the rev range. To me, it makes an awful lot more sense than the other method. You see I'm kind of bending the zigzag into it to keep it tight in the inside of the piston, because you don't want it moving around. Let's see now, we need to get the two ends of these wires basically touching each other. Not quite though, so I'm going to just cut a little bit off one there so they don't actually touch. Now, so if I raise this piston, that should go up, and it does. If I raise this piston, that should go up, and it does. So make sure that they are 100% perfectly aligned in the middle. Okay, that's pretty good at that now, I think. Yeah. All right, now let's start the engine. Okay, so straight away, that one there has risen a bit. So let's bring the other one up to compensate. Probably want to bring that one down. Now let's see how we get on. I think we're pretty good at that, so let's get our idle speed set up now. Okay, I'm going to turn it off and just make sure the wires stay level. It's a nice way of doing it, to be honest with you. I think I have a bit of confidence in this method. Okay, so they're spot on right opposite each other now. So we start her up. I think that's pretty good, folks. So I'm going to just nip up the linkage there for a second. Alright, so now let's rev it up. See the one on the left, the front one moved first. So that's not right. So I think what's happening is one is touching the linkage before the other one, so we need to turn off the engine and do it. Okay, so the linkage should be spot on now, so let's start. Oh, there's the rad fan on. All right. I'd call that spot on. All right, so let's put our dampers back in now. Okay, so now that the carbs are balanced, we can actually set about tuning them, because obviously if they're not in balance, you're never going to be able to tune them. And same thing, if you haven't done the timing first or the tappets first, there's no point in even trying to tune them, because you might get it right with a certain timing setting which is wrong, and the engine will still run like a dog even though it sees that the mixture is right. But then when you actually set the timing correct, then the mixture is wrong, because the spark is firing at a different point in the cycle. Okay, so there's logic in there somewhere. Anyway, yeah, that's the basic gist of it. So you can't skip those steps before you get to the tuning. This is the last thing you do, folks. It's not the first thing you do. If you start noodling around with the settings on the carbs, you're never going to get it right until you've got all the other stuff done first. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the engine, and we're going to blip the throttle a few times. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start just lifting the piston just very slightly. There's a pin in the bottom of the carb that allows you to do that. Not in the bottom of the carb, underneath the actual dash pot, that allows you to lift up the piston slightly. And what you're looking for is basically the revs to increase and then drop down and then come back to roughly level again. If they climb quickly, it's because it's too lean. If they drop, it's because it's too rich. Okay, so you wind out the screw to richen the mixture, you wind it in to lean out the mixture. So that's the basic idea of it. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, we'll do it with the pin first of all. If you reach in between the pistons, just above the fuel line that joins them, you'll feel a little spring-loaded pin, okay? So, now you see the way it fell on its arse there, okay? That's because it's too rich, okay? So, what we do in order to lean it out is we screw the screw below the inlet fuel line in, okay? Try it again. No, not quite. Okay, so I've been having a bit of a noodle off camera with this anyway. I know the rad fan is on again, but it'll be alright. It clicks on and off. So I'm going to lift the piston here. So as it's rising, that means it's too lean, okay? Or it's too rich, I mean. So we're going to screw out the mixture screw a little bit more. Just give it a little blowout. So you're getting barely any change there now on that. So I think we're fairly close to the mark on this one. So there we go. That one there is right now. See, you can hear it. The revs just pick up and then just drop back down again very gently, okay? So we're going to try this one now. I'd argue that that's actually bang on. Pick up the piston a little bit there. Maybe a little lean. I'd call that a win there, folks. So now, I want to check the balance again, okay? So just give it a blowout. Okay, so let's see how our our balance is looking again. Hopefully it's right. If not, I'll have to adjust it. Right on idle anyway. Oh. If anything, it's picking up a little bit faster on the back carb, so you just need to dial it in just ever so slightly more on the front carb, just give it a little bit more. Sounding pretty good at this now, to be honest with you. I think I'll probably leave well enough alone. Sometimes you can kind of overdo it and just, you know, you think yourself out of the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, look, I might get somebody who has a better idea of what they're doing to look at it at some point or another. But for the moment anyway, sounding pretty clean. You can hear there now, I mean, you can hear the air going in. I actually ended up sticking a bit of rubber tube in my ear just to have a listen and see how close the carbs were to balance. And as far as I could tell from that, they're bang on. So yeah. The other thing as well I have is this little gizmo down the back, which is kind of cheating in a way. But that's showing me the percentage of unburned hydrocarbons in the exhaust. So you'd want it to kind of be between about 3.5 and 4.5. It's sort of wavering between 4.5 and 5. A little rich is better than too lean. So I think I'll probably leave it where it is. I mean, I could go slightly leaner, I suppose, but maybe I'll just leave well enough alone here. Sometimes what you can find as well is you put the air cleaners back on and that mixture reading will drop down and actually it'll start running a little bit leaner. So yeah, look at, you know, that's spot on. I think they're good enough. I'm not going to mess with them anymore. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so the carbs are all back together again with their air cleaners on. So that basically completes the engine. So happy days. Let's see how it sounds now with the air cleaners on. Don't ruin the moment, radiator fan. I'll tell you one thing, it's a quiet engine. And there you go, let's have a look and see what our CO is going up to. You always get that slightly uneven idle in these because of the camshaft and stuff like that, and just the way they are, you know what I mean? So, to be honest with you, that sounds spot on to me, and the CO is a little on the rich side of things. I might just get one of those colour tune gizmos, which seems to be better for twin carbs than the gas tester. When you factor in the closed bonnet and the fact that the gas tester is removed so it's not making its noise, I think it's sounding pretty good at that. Let's just flip the throttle and see how it sounds. Oh yeah. I'm dying to get out for a drive in this, folks. I absolutely love this car. It is so cool. I'm really happy with it. I mean, listen. How would that not bring a smile to your face? Oil pressure is bang on at about 60 there. The engine's nice and cool. If you're to believe the temperature gauge, it's just barely off the blue. I'll show you now. There's no sign of overheating there. Engine idle speed is bang on. There's our oil pressure. So yeah, happy days. The engine's good. So I'm going to leave this one here, folks. I'm really happy with how that's shaped up now. So that's taken it from an engine that was running on 2 cylinders, down on compression, carbs a mile out of balance, and a host of other issues in that, and rectified them all. And I mean, it's going to be spot on now when we take it out in the open road. Might need to just blow the cobwebs off it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, next thing to do, get the brakes sorted out. Once I get the brakes sorted out, then I'll actually be able to drive it properly, because I wouldn't take it too far with the way they are at the moment. They're fairly ropey. So listen, don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you go, and the little notification bell beside it. That'll give you notification for any updates I have on this car or any other vehicles I'm working on at the moment. There's plenty to do. I always have lots of jobs on the go, and a few other little bits and pieces and niceties thrown in for good measure. So thanks for joining me anyway, and I will chat to you soon. It's the little details that make a car like this. There you go. I know it's not exactly period correct because it's not a what do you call it? The format of the reg is wrong, but the red number plate on the back of this car definitely looks a hell of a lot better. Yeah.